My cousin stole my graduation gift and everyone's pretending it never happened. I'm a 22-year-old guy who just graduated with a degree in mechanical engineering. I'm the first person in my immediate family to get a university degree. So even though we're not the type to throw big parties, my parents wanted to mark the occasion. They put together a small backyard celebration. Nothing too fancy, just a few folding tables, food from a local catering service, and a rented canopy in case the weather turned. It was mostly close relatives, a few neighbors, and some family friends we've known forever. The whole thing felt casual, but people were in a good mood. My mom floated between guests with plates in hand while my dad manned the grill like it was a national holiday. Somewhere between drinks and dessert, my godfather pulled me aside. He's not the loud type, very private, barely posts on social media, and mostly keeps to himself at gatherings, but he's always been solid. He handed me a white envelope and told me to open it later. He said it was something to help me get started with work and not to make a big deal out of it. I thanked him, slid it into my back pocket, and kept helping out with cleanup and making sure people had what they needed. When I went back inside to drop off some used trays, I slipped the envelope into my bedroom drawer upstairs. I didn't think twice about it. The bedroom door was open like always, and the drawer wasn't locked, but nothing had ever gone missing in our house before. After that, the day kept rolling. People came and went. Most of the older guests left by sundown. The only ones who showed up late were my dad's brother and his daughter Emma, my cousin. They arrived right around the time most people were already packing up. They didn't bring anything and didn't really say much. Emma is the kind of person who always seems just a little annoyed to be anywhere, but my parents still welcomed them like nothing was off. She stayed on her phone the entire time, barely looking up. Everyone else was winding down, but they lingered. My mom even mentioned that it was strange how they showed up late, but didn't seem to be in a rush to leave. At one point, Emma asked to use the bathroom, the upstairs one. We have a working bathroom downstairs, and everyone else had been using it, but she said she needed privacy. It felt a little weird, but, again, she's family. I just nodded and kept helping in the kitchen. After about 10 minutes, she still hadn't come back down. My uncle even called out, joking that she might have gotten lost. Eventually, she came back, acting like nothing happened, and they both left soon after. That's when things started to feel off. It was around 9 p.m. when I finally remembered the envelope. I went upstairs to my room, opened the drawer where I'd placed it earlier, and it was gone. The drawer wasn't even fully closed. A couple of my shirts were out of place, and it was clear someone had moved things around. I checked the rest of the room just in case I'd misplaced it, but I knew exactly where I'd put it. It wasn't there. I went back downstairs and asked my parents if they had moved anything from my room or cleaned up upstairs while I wasn't looking. Both of them said they hadn't even been up there at all. I didn't say much more to them in the moment. Instead, I stepped outside and texted my godfather, asking him what exactly had been in the envelope. He replied pretty quickly. It was $3,000 in cash meant to help me buy some of the basic tools and software licenses I'd need for work. Stuff that's not cheap and that he knew I couldn't afford. Right away, he wanted it to be a surprise, something that would give me a real start. As soon as I read that, I knew who had taken it. Only one person went upstairs. Only one person acted weird. Emma had been up there for nearly 10 minutes, and no one else even had a reason to be near my room. I told my parents what I suspected. My mom looked uncomfortable. My dad just kind of froze, then told me to let it go and not start anything over this. I asked how losing $3,000 isn't starting anything, but they said it would only cause drama and wasn't worth it. I didn't push it further with them. Instead, I quietly tried to talk to my uncle. I caught him outside by their car before they left and asked if he'd seen an envelope in my room or maybe if Emma had picked it up by mistake. He just shrugged, wouldn't meet my eyes, and mumbled something about not knowing what I was talking about. Then he got in the car. Later that night, I posted a message in our family group chat. I kept it polite. I didn't name anyone. I just said that an envelope had gone missing from my bedroom drawer during the party and asked if anyone might have seen it or picked it up by accident. No one replied for hours. Then Emma finally responded, not with an explanation, but with a single line, "Maybe don't leave your stuff lying around." Then she left the group chat. That was the moment it all became real. The day after the party, I drove over to see my godfather in person. He doesn't live far, and I didn't want to explain everything over text. When I got there, I thanked him for the gift, told him how much I appreciated it. And then I explained that the envelope had gone missing. I told him everything, including what Emma had said in the group chat and how she left it right after. He stayed quiet for a second, then said he wasn't surprised. What did surprise him was how bold she'd been about it. He wasn't upset with me. If anything, he looked more disappointed that it had happened at all. He said he wanted to help me pursue it, even if it made things messy. He told me to treat it like what it was, stolen money, not some family misunderstanding. Before I left, he said if I ever needed a statement or any support, he'd put it in writing. Back home, my mother tried to calm everything down. She said maybe it was a misunderstanding and reminded me that family matters shouldn't turn into war. I told her it didn't feel like a misunderstanding when $3,000 disappeared, and the only person who went upstairs made a joke and dipped from the chat. That night, I was scrolling social media and saw something that made everything click harder. Emma had posted a photo on her profile showing a brand new iPad Pro still in its box with the caption, "Early study prep gift for myself, mobile phone, sparkles." I did a reverse image search just to be sure it wasn't a repost. It wasn't. The photo was taken in her room. I could see her desk and familiar posters in the background. I didn't comment or like it. I sent the post to her in a private message and asked her about it. She read the message then deleted the post completely. No reply. Nothing. Just vanished from her profile like it never happened. I gave it a few hours then messaged her directly. I didn't accuse her in harsh words. I just told her I knew what had happened and gave her one last chance to make things right without dragging the entire family into it. She responded almost instantly, called me paranoid, said I was imagining things and should go play detective somewhere else. Then she added a laughing emoji at the end, just like she did in the group chat. No denial, no explanation, just mocking. After that, I went to my father and told him I wasn't letting this slide. I said I'd give her a few days, and if nothing changed, I'd file a police report. That's when he let something slip. He said Emma had been having money problems and probably borrowed the envelope thinking she'd quietly pay it back later. I asked him how someone can borrow something they never asked for. How stealing cash from my drawer and buying electronics for herself counted as borrowing. He didn't have a real answer. He just looked tired. I told my godfather everything that had happened so far. He was done playing nice about it. He said he'd write up a formal statement confirming the cash gift and the date he gave it to me. He told me not to wait too long, or people would try to twist the story. That same night, I put together screenshots of the iPad post, the messages from Emma, the godfather's confirmation, and the timeline of events. I kept everything neutral. No accusations, just facts. I posted the message in our family group chat with all the screenshots attached. I didn't name names. I just said that a large cash gift went missing from my drawer during the party, and here's what I discovered since then. I mentioned the timeline, the bathroom visit, the new iPad photo, and the godfather's confirmation. I ended it by saying I would not be letting it go and would be pursuing things properly if the situation wasn't resolved. There was silence in the chat for a few minutes, and then a voice note popped up. It was Emma. Loud, aggressive, calling me a liar, accusing me of trying to shame her, saying I was entitled and trying to turn everyone against her. After that, all direct contact between us ended once legal boundaries were in place. She talked over herself in the recording, throwing out excuses and insults in the same breath. Then she blocked me. A few seconds later, I got a notification saying I had been blocked by her on every platform, phone, text, messaging apps, everything. My godfather called to say the same thing had happened to him. She had cut off all contact. From that point on, neither of us could reach her again, and she couldn't contact us either. It was like she slammed a door shut behind her and assumed that would be the end of it. It wasn't. After the message and screenshots went up in the family group chat, I didn't expect a warm reaction, but I didn't expect what came next either. Within hours, I started getting private messages from different relatives. Not to support me. Not to ask what happened. Just the same repeated request in different words, take the post down for the family's peace. Some said I was making things worse. One even said I was being cruel for airing things where everyone could see. None of them asked if I was okay or whether the theft had really happened. They just wanted silence. My godfather, on the other hand, wasn't interested in silence at all. He told me he'd already started drafting a formal report. He had everything organized, dates, screenshots, his original message confirming the cash gift, even a note of what I had told him after the envelope went missing. He told me to be ready to file. He also warned me not to get distracted by family pressure. The goal was to get the money back or let the system handle it. That same day, my father pulled me aside and asked me not to go to the police. He said it would destroy what's left of the family and cause shame we'd never recover from. He told me we could figure it out privately, that Emma probably didn't mean harm, and it could still be fixed. I told him it wasn't my shame to carry. He didn't push after that. The next day, I got a private message from my uncle. We don't speak often, so it felt strange even getting a notification from him. His message didn't waste time. He warned me to be careful with what I was accusing people of. No questions. No denial. Just a warning. I didn't bother arguing. I replied with the draft police report, listed the evidence again, and told him there were two options: the money gets returned, or I file it officially. He left me on read. Not long after that, I got a text from a number I didn't recognize. It said, "Please don't drag me into this." I didn't take anything. I checked the area code. It was local. The wording was familiar too. I had a feeling it was Emma using a different phone. I called my mobile provider and confirmed the number was linked to a second prepaid phone registered under her name. She hadn't blocked me on this one, probably hoping I wouldn't figure out who it was. I didn't respond. I didn't threaten. I didn't chase her for answers. I just went back to the group chat and wrote one final message. I said that this would be the last time I'd bring it up before going through official channels. I restated the facts. I told them the window to return the money quietly was closing. I didn't call anyone out directly. I didn't point fingers, but everyone knew who I meant. The next call came from my mother's sister. She said she believed me, said she knew what kind of person Emma could be. But then she started asking me to think about how this could affect my job, my reputation, the way others in the family would look at me. She told me not to ruin my image by pressing charges. I thanked her and ended the call without promising anything. That phone call made one thing really clear. Most of the family didn't want justice. They wanted things swept under the rug, like always. My godfather, though, was done with rugs. That evening, he sent an official message to a smaller family group where events and holidays are usually planned. He said that from this point forward, Emma and my uncle would not be invited to any future family events he hosted. He also updated his will, naming me the sole heir to his engineering tools, machines, and workshop files. His way of saying he was all in. Later that night, my father forwarded me a screenshot. It was a private message Emma had sent him. She told him she didn't mean for it to go this far and begged him to stop me. She never denied what happened, just asked him to step in. He didn't reply to her. He just forwarded it to me. That alone told me everything I needed to know about what he believed now. The next morning, I sent a final message to Emma directly. I told her she had 7 days to return the money, or I would be filing the report. I didn't get a reply. Instead, she deleted her Facebook account, then her Instagram. Then she left the extended family group chat, where she used to post updates about her grades and birthday plans. She didn't say a word. She just disappeared. No one said it out loud, but from that moment on, even the relatives who wanted to protect her started to go quiet. Everyone could see what had happened. No one was willing to admit it. But now, no one was defending her either. 2 days after Emma vanished from the group chats and wiped her social media, I went to the local police station. I asked to speak with an officer about filing a report for theft. When they asked for details, I explained the entire thing from the start: my graduation party, the cash envelope from my godfather, the upstairs bathroom visit, the missing envelope, the iPad post, and the mocking responses that followed. I showed them the screenshots, the godfather's message confirming the gift, the deleted post, and the final group chat messages. The officer reviewed everything and didn't brush it off. He said it wasn't the first time. They'd seen something like this and encouraged me to file a formal complaint. He explained what kind of evidence would help build a stronger case: written statements, digital proof, a full timeline. He gave me a packet of paperwork and told me how to file. Back home, I spent the next 2 nights building a case file. I put everything in order: every text, every screenshot, every call log. My godfather typed out a signed statement confirming the exact date and time. He handed me the envelope along with the amount inside. He even noted where we were standing during the handoff and the reason for the gift: professional tools and career support. I included that too. I reached out to Emma through one of the few numbers I still had for her and asked if she was willing to give a statement. Her reply was short. She said she didn't want to get involved. That was it. No denial. No claim of innocence. Just avoidance, which made everything feel even more obvious. Once I submitted the file, the police opened an official case and told me they'd start with a basic inquiry, checking in, confirming the story with my godfather, possibly speaking to the people involved. They also mentioned a wellness check might happen if anyone tried to claim the situation was exaggerated or stressful enough to cause harm, which apparently wasn't uncommon in family cases like this. Within a few days, word of the report started to spread. Nobody said anything to me directly in the main chat, but the tone from some relatives shifted. I got vague texts. Things like, "Do you really want this hanging over us? Or aren't there better ways to solve this?" They didn't deny what had happened. They just wanted the whole thing to stop. Then Emma reappeared online, but under a slightly different version of her name. She started posting again, this time acting like nothing had ever happened. She put up a photo carousel of her new desk setup, new iPad, new headphones, a wireless keyboard, a fancy chair, and a caption talking about how proud she was of her educational investment. Her new profile was set to public for some reason, so I saved everything and didn't say a word. Just logged it, filed it, and moved on. Not long after that, my grandmother called me. She was crying. She told me this wasn't what the family was about and that I was pulling everything apart by pushing things this far. I listened, but I didn't change course. She didn't ask what happened. She just wanted me to stop. A cousin on my mother's side reached out that same night. She told me she believed me and that Emma had been getting away with stuff like this for years. Small things, quiet things, borrowed money never returned, guilt, tripping people into gifts, backhanded comments masked as jokes. No one ever called her out because she played the victim the moment anyone tried. The next morning, I got another message, this time from my uncle. It wasn't aggressive at first, just vague, but it ended with something that felt like a threat. He told me to reconsider making false claims before someone gets hurt. I didn't reply. I saved it, added it to the file, and contacted a lawyer. The lawyer I found came recommended by someone my godfather knew. I sent over the full case file and had a meeting the next day. He told me I had enough for a civil case already, and the harassment from my uncle could push it into stronger legal ground. He said we could file for both stolen property and emotional distress depending on how the next few days went. That same day, the lawyer sent a cease and desist letter to both Emma and my uncle. It was clear and direct. No more contact, no more threats, and no more attempts to intimidate or interfere with the process. We had receipts now. There would be consequences. That night, I parked my car in the usual spot on our driveway. Around 2 a.m., I woke up to a loud sound outside. When I looked in the morning, my windshield was streaked with dried egg shells on the ground, one still half smashed on the hood. I checked our small security cam facing the driveway, but it only caught a shadow moving past the edge of the fence. Face covered, hoodie up. I reported it right away and added it to the police file. The lawyer updated the civil case file, and the officer I had spoken with earlier followed up by phone and told me they'd take it seriously, especially if there were more incidents. What started with an envelope had now turned into something bigger, but it was all connected, and it wasn't over yet. The morning after the eggs were thrown at my car, I installed a motion-activated security camera outside. It was a small unit with night vision and cloud storage. Nothing fancy, but enough to catch movement on our driveway. I filed an updated vandalism report with the police, attaching the photos of the dried egg, timestamped footage of the shadow moving past the fence, and the audio clip of the threat from my uncle. They logged everything and said they'd flag the case for potential escalation if more harassment followed. That same night, the camera picked up another incident. Around 2:47 a.m., a figure in a hoodie walked up the driveway and threw something, looked like a small bag filled with trash, at the side of my car. The face wasn't visible, but the height, build, and posture looked similar to Emma. I saved the footage and backed it up in 3 places before forwarding it to both the police and my lawyer. When my godfather heard about the second incident, he offered to help cover legal fees if the case moved forward. He said if they were trying to scare me into silence, they picked the wrong family to mess with. He meant it. A few days later, my father told me that my uncle wanted to meet in private. He claimed he wanted to clear things up and avoid more damage. I agreed to the meeting, but only under one condition: I would be there, and it would happen somewhere neutral. We picked a public cafe near a main road, one with security cameras and open tables. I brought a small audio recorder with me and asked for consent before we started, which he gave with a nod. He opened the conversation casually as if this wasn't about thousands of dollars in a police report. After a few minutes, he admitted almost offhandedly that the envelope had been taken out of desperation. He didn't apologize. Instead, he said my godfather has more than enough money and that helping his nephew shouldn't be such a big deal, trying to shift blame. Then he slid a white envelope across the table with $1,500 inside. No note. No explanation. Just the cash. He called it a gesture of goodwill, like we were splitting a bill instead of addressing theft. I pushed it back toward him and told him that half the money didn't cancel the theft or erase what they had done. He shrugged, leaned back, and muttered under his breath that I'd regret dragging my own family through the mud. I ended the meeting right there. That night, I got a message from a distant aunt I barely talked to. She said she had been following the situation quietly and felt like I needed to know something. Years ago, Emma had taken small amounts of money from cousins, aunts, even grandparents. Nothing major, $50 here, $100 there, but she always called it borrowing and somehow avoided any fallout. Most people never brought it up again. She said everyone had just gotten used to ignoring it. That wouldn't happen this time. I played the cafe recording for both my parents. My dad listened without saying much. He didn't try to defend her or soften anything anymore. After that, he stopped asking me to back off and never brought up family unity again. My mom, who had stayed quiet throughout all of this, finally said she understood why I couldn't let it go. She told me she was on my side now and that she hadn't realized how far things had gotten until she heard the way my uncle spoke at that table. My lawyer began preparing the civil case, one for theft, one for emotional distress, and a third count for reputational damage caused by the public denial and intimidation. We added the attempted hush money offer, the past messages, the recordings, and the vandalism to the file. He said the timeline and evidence painted a very clear picture. After that, my godfather and I sat down and went through everything again. Every piece of evidence, every conversation, every warning, every time someone tried to get me to drop it. We both agreed this wouldn't be one of those family problems that disappeared quietly. Not this time. 2 weeks after the cease and desist letter and the cafe meeting, the police called Emma in for questioning. They had reviewed all the material I'd submitted, the godfather's statement, the evidence timeline, the screenshots, and even the footage from my security camera. She arrived at the station with my uncle and immediately denied everything. She told the officers there was no envelope, no cash, and claimed it was just family drama that got out of control. My uncle sat beside her, quiet for the most part, but nodded along to everything she said. The officers didn't argue with her directly. They asked follow-up questions based on the timeline. The problem was her story didn't match the evidence. She couldn't explain why she was the only one upstairs. She had no reason for why her iPad appeared online right after the incident or why she blocked me and my godfather after the confrontation. When asked about the message she sent to my father begging him to stop me, she claimed she was just trying to keep the peace. It didn't hold up. My godfather was contacted for verbal confirmation at the station, and he restated everything clearly, when he gave me the envelope, how much it contained, and why he had gifted it. His version matched exactly with the written statement already on file. Between the inconsistencies in her version and the solid timeline we had, the police told me afterward they were keeping the file open and continuing with inquiries. After that meeting, word got around fast. The family group chat, already quiet, started to fall apart. A few relatives messaged privately, saying I was going too far and that involving the police was vindictive. Others didn't say anything at all. They just left the chat one by one. No one defended her publicly, but some clearly didn't want to be part of it either. Then something unexpected happened. One of the cousins who had originally defended Emma loudly, even calling me dramatic in earlier messages, sent me a private message. They said, I didn't know everything. I was wrong. That alone caught me off guard. But what followed was even more important. They attached a screenshot of a private group chat where Emma had been laughing about the investigation. In the messages, she joked about tricking the cops and called me spoiled and clueless. She even mocked my godfather, saying he wouldn't live long enough to follow through on anything serious. I forwarded the screenshot to my lawyer immediately. He added it to the civil case file and marked it under malicious intent and defamation. With the new material, he filed to expand the claim, emotional distress, reputational harm, and now documented mockery during an open legal investigation. He said this would strengthen our position for damages. My godfather also made a change that same week. He met with his attorney and officially designated me as his power of attorney and executor of his estate. That meant I'd be the one to manage his workshop tools and legal affairs if anything ever happened. He told me this wasn't just about the money anymore. It was about the principle. A few days later, Emma tried to file a harassment complaint against me, claiming I was targeting her unfairly. The complaint was dismissed almost immediately. The officers already had our case file, including my uncle's threats, the evidence trail, and her own contradictions at the station. They filed it away as baseless and flagged it in their system. Then 3 days after the failed complaint, it happened again. Another late-night noise outside. Another mess on the driveway. But this time, the camera caught everything. The figure wasn't in a hoodie anymore. It was Emma. She didn't bother covering her face this time, suggesting she was emotionally unraveling under pressure. She walked up, threw the eggs, and walked back down the street like it didn't matter. Same exact time as before. I clipped the footage, saved it, and submitted it to the police. The next afternoon, officers visited her house. Emma was officially questioned for vandalism and intimidation. They didn't charge her on the spot, but the incident was added to the active case. The officer told me it would reflect badly on their credibility in court. That was the breaking point. The relatives who had still been defending her went silent. Some stopped replying to her messages. A few removed her from social media. No more subtle defenses. No more neutral stances. She had lost the benefit of doubt. Her story was collapsing, one layer at a time. After the footage of Emma egging my driveway was submitted, the police reviewed everything and charged her with misdemeanor vandalism. The video showed her face clearly. The time matched previous incidents, and it fit the pattern of intimidation already tied to the case. The charge wasn't major, but it made the situation official and public. When she was called in, my uncle showed up at the station with her. Furious, he stormed into the reception area and started raising his voice, accusing me of poisoning the family and dragging his daughter through the mud. Officers stepped in immediately, warned him for interfering with an active investigation, and reminded him there was already a complaint open involving harassment and property damage. He backed down, but not before making a scene. My lawyer responded that same day by sending formal no-contact notices to both Emma and my uncle. The documents clearly stated that neither of them were allowed to contact me directly again in any form, calls, texts, messages, or showing up in person. Any future attempt would be treated as a legal violation. That step changed things. Relatives who had stayed quiet for weeks finally started pulling away from her publicly. A few removed her from social media. One even sent me a message apologizing for doubting me earlier. The silence that had been protecting her began to break. With everything finally in motion, my lawyer submitted the final paperwork to formally move the civil case forward. A court date was issued. We now had a hearing on the calendar, and it wasn't just about stolen money anymore. It was about everything: the threats, the vandalism, the defamation, the emotional stress. The case had grown, but so had the proof. There were no more family meetings, no more attempts to settle, no more texts asking me to take down the group chat message, no more cousins defending her, no more debates about who was right or wrong. From this point forward, everything would be handled in court. At the hearing, the judge awarded $3,000 in restitution for the stolen gift and an additional $5,000 for emotional distress, citing the consistent harassment, property damage, public ridicule, and refusal to resolve the matter respectfully. Emma did not respond during the ruling. She sat silently, arms crossed, then stood and left the courtroom without saying a word. My uncle followed behind her, head down. After the court's ruling, enforcement kicked in fast. Garnishment orders were sent to the part-time job Emma had at a local coffee shop, and her wages began being deducted until the full $8,000 judgment was paid. Within weeks, her credit score took a major hit. I used the recovered money exactly the way it was meant to be used, on the professional tools I couldn't afford after graduation. I purchased drafting software licenses, updated my laptop, and bought a starter kit of high-precision instruments. Within a few weeks, I accepted a job offer from an engineering firm I had been interviewing with. My godfather hosted a private dinner to celebrate. He grilled steak, opened a bottle of wine, and toasted to the start of something real. At the end of the evening, after everyone else had left, my father stayed behind a little longer than usual. He didn't talk much, but before leaving, he pulled me aside, apologized once, just once, and said he should have believed me from the start. He didn't follow it up with excuses. He just said it and left. After the court decision, the extended family updated their event calendar and organizing group. Emma's name was removed from every list. No more potluck assignments, no planning duties, no invitations. It wasn't announced publicly, but it was clear. Her name wasn't mentioned anymore, and no one pushed back. Through legal channels, I had one last task to close the door fully. I sent a formal letter to Emma, approved and delivered by my lawyer. It had one sentence: forgiven, not forgotten. Do not contact me again. That made the no contact clause permanent and enforceable under court supervision. Months later, I was invited to speak at a career development panel at a local college. The topic was about more than work. It was about financial boundaries, personal integrity, and how to protect yourself even from family. I kept it professional, but I told the truth. What started as one stolen envelope turned out to be more than a theft. It became a mirror. It showed me who would stand by me and who would stay silent. And I'll never forget either.